Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. Today I'm trying to get to Proverbs 9 or so. We're going to start with Proverbs chapter 1. I was feeling pretty heavily on the way here, etc. But let's just get into it. Proverbs 1, purpose and theme. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction in prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to those who are simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and add to their learning. Okay, let's just start over this again. Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. So I was feeling pretty heavily on the way here, but I'm going to try to get to Proverbs chapter 9 today here in Santa Cruz. And I'm going to start with Proverbs chapter 1. So let's get into this. Proverbs chapter 1, purpose and theme. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction in prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to those who are simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance, for understanding proverbs and parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So notice that Proverbs is about understanding the parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise. It's for understanding Proverbs in general. It's for understanding words of insight. This is the one book in the Bible that starts off with telling you that it's about understanding the Bible. It's about understanding Scripture. So Proverbs might very well be my favorite book in the whole Bible. It's up there somewhere. It's a very important book. Notice it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So how smart is somebody if they don't fear God enough to do what's right? How wise could they be? How insightful could they be? How much sense could they have? So to even have the beginning of wisdom, you have to fear God to the point where you do what is right. And again, it says that it's for receiving instruction in prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair. Prologue. Exhortations to embrace wisdom. Warnings against the invitation of sinful men. So the first section after the intro section, okay, is about avoiding ill-gotten gains. It's about avoiding temptation. That's how wisdom starts. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. They are a garland to grace your head, and a chain to adorn your neck. My son, if sinful men entice you, do not give in to them. If they say, come along with us, let's lie in wait for innocent blood, let's ambush some harmless soul, let's swallow them alive like the grave, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We get all sorts of valuable things and fill our houses with plunder. Cast lots with us. We will all share the loot. My son, do not go along with them. Do not set foot on their paths. For their feet rush into evil. They are swift to shed blood. How useless to spread a net where every bird can see it. These men lie in wait for their own blood. They ambush only themselves. Such are the paths of all who go after ill-gotten gain. It takes away the life of those who get it. That's how that section ends. Right? They're ambushing only themselves. This is part of why I won and the government and the global governing class, they lost. Oh, I just saw some dolphins. Because they ambush only themselves. Every bird can see it. How much more the falcon? No offense to that bird that just flew by. It's a crow. Such are the paths of all who go after ill-gotten gain. It takes away the life of those who get it. Wisdom's rebuke. Out in the open, wisdom calls aloud. She raises her voice in the public square. On top of the wall, she cries out. At the city gate, she makes her speech. How long will you who are simple love your simple ways? How long will mockers delight in mockery and fools hate knowledge? Repent at my rebuke, then I will pour out my thoughts to you. I'll make known to you my teachings. Now, if we look at the bottom in Bible Gateway, it says that the Hebrew for simple in Proverbs denotes a person who is gullible, without moral direction, and inclined to evil. Also, the Hebrew words rendered fool in Proverbs and often elsewhere in the Old Testament denote a person who is morally deficient. So the problem is they're gullible, they're without moral direction, and inclined to evil, and they're morally deficient. So that's what it means when it says, how long will the simple love their simple ways? Okay. But since you refuse to listen when I call and no one pays attention when I stretch out my hand, since you disregard all my advice and do not accept my rebuke, I in turn will laugh when disaster strikes you. I will mock when calamity overtakes you. When calamity overtakes you like a storm, the storm of the Lord, the storm in Revelation, the storm of the Lord in Jeremiah. Again, when calamity overtakes you like a storm, when disaster sweeps over you like a whirlwind, when distress and trouble overwhelm you, then they will call to me, but I will not answer. They will look for me, but will not find me. Since they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord, since they would not accept my advice and spurn my rebuke, they will eat the fruit of their ways and be filled with the fruit of their schemes.
Which I was very concerned by because...
For the waywardness of the simple will kill them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will live in safety and be at ease without fear of harm. So notice that they're filled with the fruit of their schemes, right? You know them by their fruit. Matthew 7, the fruit of their schemes. Their evil schemes. The fruit of their ways. And it says the waywardness, right? The word wayward. They're warding the Spirit of God of universal pinpoint and moral precision. The waywardness of the simple will kill them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. So let's go ahead and get into Proverbs 2. It's a short chapter. I'm going to have to turn the page at some point, and it might kind of mess with the mic. So bear with me. Because I use a mic on a cord, because they messed up the mic on many of my phones. Proverbs 2. Moral benefits of wisdom. Okay, so in Proverbs 1, you see the purpose and theme, the exhortation to embrace wisdom, and the warnings against the invitation of sinful men, and of course, wisdom's rebuke. Proverbs 2 is titled Moral Benefits of Wisdom. When we get into Proverbs 3, it's wisdom bestows well-being. Proverbs 4 is get wisdom at any cost. So you see, the wisdom is a huge part of Proverbs. Remember, the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and out of the mouth of the righteous comes the fruit of wisdom. So wisdom is the tree of life. So Proverbs is about wisdom, righteousness, justice, the life and martial art principles. It's about the tree of life. It's about wisdom. It's about righteousness. Okay. Proverbs 2. Moral benefits of wisdom. My son, if you accept my words and store up my commands within you, right? Storing them up, right? Absorbing them, storing them up. Turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understanding. Indeed, if you call out for insight and cry aloud for understanding, and if you look for it as for silver and search for it as for hidden treasure, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. He holds success in store. He holds success in store for the upright. He is a shield to those whose walk is blameless, for he guards the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones. Then you will understand what is right and just and fair, every good path. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will protect you, and understanding will guard you. Wisdom will save you from the ways of wicked men, from men whose words are perverse, who have left the straight paths to walk in dark ways, who delight in doing wrong. Okay, so the wisdom protects them when they're in the righteous spirit of God, when they're wise enough to come into the divine order, in a spirit of universal pinpointed moral precision. And it says that wisdom will save you from the ways of wicked men, from men whose words are perverse, who have left the straight paths to walk in dark ways, who delight in doing wrong and rejoice in the perverseness of evil. Okay, so what happens when you are doing the wrong thing, when you conform to the world and you're enjoying yourself? You're on the spectrum of enjoying and rejoicing in the perverseness of evil, whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. Wisdom will save you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with her seductive words, who has left the partner of her youth and ignored the covenant she made before God. This has everything to do with Genesis 10 and Revelation. Right? Nimrod, a mighty warrior before the Lord, the partner of Babylon's youth, the representative of God at the time. And then Babylon the Great has fallen. We see in Revelation as they moved away from Nimrod and more toward Nebuchadnezzar, who was an idolater whose name includes Nebu, which is like the word Nebo for a reason. And Nebo is said to be one of the enemies of God, a false idol in the Bible in Jeremiah. You see, the word Nimrod is a play on words from man rod and main rod. Okay, gospel, gospel, vowels, interchangeable vowels, vowel to L, what have you. Okay. Surely her house leads down to death, and her paths to the spirit of the dead, to the spirits of the dead. None who go to her return or attain the paths of life. Thus you will walk in the ways of the good and keep to the paths of the righteous. For the upright will live in the land, and the blameless will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the unfaithful will be torn from it. So it's alluding to Revelation, where the wicked keep reproducing, they keep clinging to the earth, right? Satan is said to be cast down to the earth, and is said to fall like lightning. The snake is said to be cursed to crawl in its belly. Okay, the snake licks the dust, man in rebellion returns to the dust, what have you. So as they fall, the unfaithful women, right, Babylon, who betrayed Nimrod, Jerusalem, who betrayed, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob when they're doing the right thing, and so on and so forth, right? Because Jacob, for a while, was doing the wrong thing, and then he was corrected by God, and he struggled with God in his internal struggle. That's what that wrestling match is figurative of. What the wrestling match refers to. Okay, I think that might be the end of the chapter. If it's not, I'll continue it in the next video. But that's verse 22.